May have needed the clean version of that song. Sorry about the language, if that offended anybody. I will do a better job on that. But it is Wednesday morning here. I'm off to a good morning. Who else is off to a good start today? What's making it good? Who's making it good out there? Who's got a good morning routine that they absolutely nailed it? Anybody? Anybody want to kind of share what their morning routine looks like? How about just by show of hands? I'll let you speak in a second, Mara, and keep your hand up if this fits you. If I'm just curious here. So we've got what 25 people on right now. How many of your morning is pretty much identical every morning? Maybe there's a twist or two to it, but every morning it's the same. You're running the same play. All right, so we got about 8 or 9 hand raisers here out of 27. So a third of you are running the same play every single morning. I run the same play every morning. What I love about running the same play every morning, it's very easy to make some twists, some adjustments, try something. Hey, I'm going to substitute this for that. Versus hey, I'm going to wake up and life is just going to kind of happen. And then we don't really have anything to measure it against. So if you're somebody that is waking up and just kind of letting life happen, I would really encourage you to try and get into some sort of a morning routine, even if it's just a couple of things that are consistent in your morning, and then that you can tweak them. And I know there's a lot of excuses. I got kids, I got this, I got that, and I just think those are just excuses. I mean, I've got 2 kids, and it doesn't allow you to do certain things, but you can always go to bed earlier and get up earlier, and that allows you to do the couple of things. I mean, my kids have had different wake up times from anywhere from 6 to one of them woke up at 7:30 this morning. And I think we've just gotten comfortable, my wife and I, with they've also got to be able to run their own plays. I think it was a little bit more coddling and hand holding, even at an age where they probably didn't need it. So I don't think kids could be an excuse. Maybe there are some legitimate excuses out there. I'm not sure what those would be, but I think everybody should be able to control that morning routine pretty fine-tunedly. And then what I love about it is then you can just make your adjustments on whatever it is in your life that you're looking to work on. Put 10 to 15 minutes of that morning routine into focused on whatever it is. What is that essential thing in your life that you're trying to change? Whether it's your relationship, it is your health and wellness, it is your job, but dedicate 10 to 15 minutes of that morning routine to that essential focused item. Let's just talk a little bit more about morning routine. It gets thrown out there all the time, but maybe somebody could talk about theirs or some adjustments that they've made, or somebody could say, hey, here's why I'm struggling with my morning routine, and see if there's any tips that people have of why, what excuse they might have. So Martin, you had your hand up on morning routine.
Mine, pretty standard, I guess, with most people with kids. I wake up literally 5:30, take the dog out for a walk, make everybody breakfast because they all go to school pretty much at the same time. And then me being the wonderful husband I am, make my wife her cup of coffee and then check the computer and check my emails.
Yeah, so a couple of things, right, regarding breakfast. So you threw something out there, and I think this one can go either way, and you can build it into your morning routine either way. One is, I'm going more and more down the path of the family unit is really one of the most important things that we can do while we're on this planet. And for those of you with kids, we've got a very limited time to really impact it. So the fact that you are taking some time, Martin, out of your morning to make them breakfast is great. If you eat it with them, probably even better. But maybe it's not every single day of the week, because I think the flip side is, because I've heard this as an excuse, well, I got to get my kids ready and I got to make them breakfast. And well, if you do all those things, you're not raising a capable kid, right? It's pretty easy to make some toast with some peanut butter on it. I mean, a 5-year-old can do that, maybe even younger.
No, mine gets spoiled. They had avocado toast with strawberry banana smoothies this morning. They have fresh every morning. I mean, I do feel like that kind of spoils them, where it's like, well, if they got into the real world, they're not going to have that kind of breakfast every morning where it's like fresh fruit, all this other stuff that's, it's not just cereal and milk.
Yeah. How old are they, Martin?
20, 17, and 14.
Holy cow, brother. Holy cow, brother. That, yeah, man. I mean, here, simple change in my morning routine, right? I was making my kids a protein smoothie every single morning. I'm high on getting high quality protein into your body. It's difficult for kids, mine or anything like yours or those who have raised them. It's like they want to eat, cereal and mac and cheese and maybe a slice of pizza here and there. So it's difficult to get high protein in. Side note, a slice of cheese pizza at Costco has like a ridiculous amount of protein. I want to say it's between like 25 and 40 grams of protein, where like a Domino's is like 8. But anyway, that's just a side note. But so one of the things I did is I said, okay, show them how to make those same things, show them how to make the avocado toast. And then I just said, I slowly just kind of stepped away. I got the whatever, the canister out. I put the protein out there. I get the mixed berries out, right? And they're just all out on the counter. So when they get up, it's kind of difficult for them to go over and get cereal and pour it. All the stuff is out. Right? And now it's down to just the cups are out. And that's their reminder in the morning that, hey, you know what? I should put something good into my body. So there's a bunch of different ways to play with it. Deanna, you've had your hand up for a bit. You're muted if you're trying. Maybe you're not trying, Deanna. Who else wants to talk a little bit about morning routine, or maybe some things that you've changed? I'm a big fan of the habit stacking or some sort of reminder mechanisms. That's why the cups out in front of the blender just work for me. Obviously, preparation would be the next step the night before. So for me, my smoothie is fully prepared outside of the milk added the night before, and that way all I got to do is blend it in the morning. My kids aren't quite there yet, but those are the types of things that I want to try and prepare them to be able to do. Lauren. You're muted.
Sorry. Um, so mine actually kind of thinking back to like breakfast and my kids are so different. My oldest child, super independent, always wanted to on her own, make sure she was able to do things, right? So from a very young age, she wanted to be in control of, making her breakfast. And she's always up. She's one of the first people up in the house, right? And she gets herself ready. I never have to worry about her making it anywhere on time. She is ready. My little one will sleep forever if you let her. Wants, everything done for her still at this point. She's 9 now. So one thing that's actually helped for us is we have a couple of alarms set throughout the morning. And they have like different tones to them. Right. So for right now, that's something that's really helped. She knows which one is I got to get up and get dressed. Like we don't leave our room until we're dressed for the morning. And then she knows, which one is it's time to make sure that my bag's packed, my shoes are on. And then the one that's, put on my coat and go outside. So that's something that we've implemented to help her start getting into better mornings.
Yeah, I love it. I think, what I'm learning as I'm, trying to educate myself on the parenting thing um, and raising these kids, it's no different than trying to coach anybody at anything, which is why I think it's appropriate for this call. Like when what we're learning is when we're bringing on a brand new agent, or maybe an agent that's had some bad habits, you can't just say, hey, read this, you got to do this. It's slowly trying to put them a little bit outside of their comfort zone, right? Put them on the spot in a training, ask them to show you their CRM and let's take a look at it. And then come to the call next week and let's point out a couple of things. Right. So it's more of just trying to set them up in a position to win, but with some guardrails, and then trying to make sure that the step that they're about to take isn't a giant leap. It's just one little step in the right direction. I think sometimes with the goals, we've got this goal of I want to be a top producer, and we're so far away from being a top producer, it's almost defeating. And the goal is really just motion towards that North Star of being a top producer. And motion might be just get my CRM right, not even worried about transactions. After I got my CRM right, maybe it's I got to up my calls. Once I've upped my calls, maybe it's I got to up my texts. Once I up my texts, maybe I got to clean up my texts. Once I've upped my calls, maybe I got to get better at my calls. I got to get better at my objection handling. I still haven't put a deal together yet. Right now I've got one deal. I know what that feels like. Now I got two deals. It's some of you've been through this. You get to 3 or 4 deals going at the same time and your head is spinning. Yet we've had agents with 10 transactions going on all at the same time, handled it no problem. Right. So it's just about building these little steps towards whatever that North Star is. And I think we need to do a better job in leadership. Something again with the kiddos here of just making sure what is that, just that next little step just towards the North Star. We can't go from 0 to hero, but we can take one step closer and just continuously trying to be in momentum. But that comfort in failing, we talked about yesterday, comfort in just asking what you might think is a stupid question, where I promise you 80% of the people on the call don't know the answer to it. But just being curious, asking the questions, or trying to do the thing. So many agents, tech seems to be the one thing that a lot of agents struggle with. They're not utilizing their CRM. And you can watch all the, follow-up boss trainings or lofty trainings that you want. Unless you get in there and you play with it and you force yourself to learn the system, you're not going to get better at it. Right. So that's why we've been taking it, instead of just showing you what to do in your follow-up boss, we're asking you to open it up. We're going to look at a lead. We're going to see if you've done the things. And if you haven't done the things, going to ask you to do the things. Go and press this button, go and add this tag, go and start this action plan. But just one step closer to where we're trying to go. If you're struggling with your objections, or, something lately that we've been working on is our ALM rates. So looking to see which agents do a really good job on the phone. It's just a couple of tweaks that you got to make. This isn't rocket science. Listen to the calls. Hey, here's a couple of things that you could change. Now you guys got to go and change it. Try it on the next call. Anybody have any thoughts or comments or something that's like working or maybe worked for you and might work for somebody else kind of on these topics? Please share, guys. If something clicked for you, right, it might click for somebody else. Pat.
I find, Steve, as you know, I can talk forever. So I find less is more a lot of times. So like when I'm texting warm leads, hey, this is Pat. Are you still looking for a house? That's it, right? Nothing. You don't need to send them a paragraph and a half of stuff. You're just trying to get them to communicate. And if you can get them to communicate, then you can start talking to them again. But I find when I'm working warm leads in my system, hey, did you see the interest rate drop? What's your plan? Or, hey, this is Pat. What's going on? Are you still looking for a house? Like, keep it simple. Like, it doesn't need to be a big thing. I think people maybe get caught up on that a little bit. You want to tell them everything that's going on in the market. That's not that time for that conversation. When you're just sending out like text messages, whatever, just keep it simple, short, easy.
Right. So how do you think you learned that, Pat?
Because the people I send big long messages to never message me back, but the people that I send, hey, what's up? Are you still looking? They message me back and tell me something. You know, I already found one. Oh, I am still looking. Oh, I've been meaning to reach out to you. You know, when you send them this big long book thing, they don't respond.
Point being, you're getting in there and you're trying some stuff, right? You're getting in there, you're taking that baby step, which is, I'm just going to send some texts. I have no idea what the hell's going to happen. I don't know if this one's going to work or that one's going to work. This one supposedly has a better response rate according to the masses, but for whatever reason, when I send it, it's just not working. Right. But the point is that you get in there and you play with these text messages and you figure out which ones are actually hooking people and which ones aren't. And whatever's working this month might not work next month. But play the game, take some baby steps. Anybody else want to share? Morning routine, CRM, baby steps, raising kids. We're all over the place this morning. What do you want to share? If we don't have any more on that, let's just open it up to roundtable stuff. We're halfway into the call. Who's got something weird going on or a good learning experience that would help others out? Margaretta.
Morning, all. I just have an update from yesterday. The ones who were here, it was about the plumbing issue with post-sale. Well, the woman finally did listen, and she got a plumber. She texted me. Oh, she did reach out to an attorney, which we were like, oh my God, okay, we're working with you. And the bottom line is the plumber came in and said, well, it was a stopper. There's a little stopper for water not to drain. That's why that was happening. But I guess the lesson learned here, she was happy. She's like, oh, it's nothing major. It's not $600 to clear a pipe. Per that plumber. I don't know why that's so expensive. But the bottom line is, the handling of that situation is, instead of like saying you're full of, what, maybe you just like check out for her, just really, I guess the approach is sympathize a little bit, saying, oh, that's so bad. Why don't we get a professional there to really look at this problem to see what it is, instead of like just fluffing it off, I guess. It's a lesson learned for me. So just want to share that with everyone, because I guess that's a good way to handle. And I have to give credit to a friend of mine who's a used car dealer. And I reached out to him actually, like, how do you deal with somebody who just keeps complaining about something? And obviously used car dealers see a lot of that. He's like, well, you send them to a mechanic. So I just want to put that out there because, I think that's a good lesson learned for me anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I'm taking out of there too, Margaretta, that I find helps a lot when we're trying to help an agent through something is, can you send me a picture? Can you send me a screenshot? Can you send me a screen record, a Loom video? Show me what exactly you're struggling with, because a lot of times it is something silly, like they didn't realize that there was a stopper. They've just never been in that position before. I remember I was listening to a podcast from that Modern Wisdom, Chris Williamson. I love his content, and he was talking about how he was an only child growing up, and he was bullied and made fun of, and didn't really come out of his shell until college, or maybe even post-college. And he talked about being an only child. He got to college, and he didn't even, like, it was, I think he was in like a quad or something. And he didn't even realize that, like, it was common courtesy to like knock on a door before you went in. He's like, I just never had to do that at home. I didn't have any siblings, it was just kind of an open house. So it was like, it was kind of a weird thing that I didn't learn till a late age, and it's just an extreme example of just sometimes people just never come across something before. If you travel at all, and how you go to these different hotels, and everyone seems to have a different way that you turn the damn shower on, or you got to pull this lever or push this thing out, or that doesn't work until you pull that, and then the water, it can be kind of crazy, so just imagine sometimes, that just this person's just never been in this scenario before, even though it might be common for us. We're selling houses all the time. We're in a lot of these things. For consumer, it could be just the first time that they're in this position. I think just kind of taking that approach of, fundamentals. Let's assume they just don't know anything here, and let's just start with the basics and take a look at it and see if it's something silly. So great share around how to handle a client, and hopefully everybody can benefit from that one. So Jen.
I was just going to say, I think that's why it's important to also get disclosures from the seller, not necessarily the one that's written out, but just disclose whatever just, because it's the right thing to do. But that way, if they were to come back, if an agent was to come back, like, you did your due diligence by asking. And so it's, if it was operational at the time of inspection, things happen. So maybe, or, just in general, it's not like everything's going to last forever. It's a home. And I feel like whenever somebody buys a home, for some reason, it's just like things happen kind of right away. I was helping a client, her dog food delivery was sent to her old house, and I offered to go pick it up. And the lady who purchased her house said, "Oh, so my refrigerator stopped working 3 days after closing." And it's like, I'm not going to bring that to the seller. That has nothing to do with the seller, or, you know what I mean? My client, because I don't know, I feel like it could go on and on if I don't know. And I feel like that, if it was just the seller who commented, and, things happen, things go, but I also feel like sometimes the agent bringing it to you is just not sure how to handle it. Right. So I think, Margaret, or like by saying maybe just have, like what you said, I think was great as far as, well, if somebody took care of it, contact that person about the leak, contact that plumber who looked at it, and go from there. Like, what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? And they're looking for help, I guess, because they don't know how to handle it. But it also can't be like your problem and your seller's problem, because, like, when would it end?
Yeah, the post-close stuff can definitely get tricky. We covered a lot of the different scenarios yesterday, and there's a million more that we haven't even talked about that can happen post-close. So, Frankie.
Can you guys hear me? I'm in my car right now.
We got you.
I don't know if I have a question, or I have a question. I just don't know what it is. So I'm in a deal right now. I put an offer in on Monday for my clients. I've been talking to the listing agent a lot. We went back and forth yesterday probably like 5 or 6 times. I talked to him. I had the lender talk to him. Everything's good. He told us that it's us and another offer is like the top 2 offers he has, which I don't know if that's much information he disclosed to me. So my offer is for $280, and my buyer's going to put down a deposit of $4,000, and then the lender's going to get back his $4,000. We're going to put it towards closing costs at the end. So the listing agent called me the last time he called me. He goes, "Hey, my seller doesn't want to do a $4,000 credit." I go, "We're not getting a $4,000 credit. The purchase price is $280." He goes, "Oh, I thought it was $284. This is what he says to me, right? Obviously, it's not. Top line says $280. He tells me he's been doing real estate since '89, and I kind of feel like that would be a mistake I would make being only a year in, which besides the point, I guess. I need something to tell this guy to make sure we get this deal. And I don't know what to call him back, like, "Hey, one more thing, this." Like, actually, we went up to $285. I said, "Look, you make the deal. I'll rewrite the contract right now for $285. The seller's good. My buyer's good with it. The lender's good with it. Everything's fine. But I want to call this guy today and make sure I get this deal accepted, and I don't know what to say to this guy. Can anybody help me out, please?"
Who wants to chat on this one? Right? It's you and another offer. It's down to 2. You're close. What are you saying to that listing agent?
Like, when you said you thought it was $284, I mean, we went to $285, so obviously, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel it should have been a done deal when I said that. But but I didn't hear from him all night again last night or all night after that. And I don't want to be like, yeah, I don't want him to. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just left the doctor, but
Yeah, you're
it's
trying.
like
You're trying not to look desperate, but you're trying to get this deal done, right? You don't want to just
Exactly.
say, "Hey, what we'll do
Exactly.
whatever it takes." But what kind of language can you use? So, anybody
I mean,
have
I've
kind
already,
of?
I've went up to the 5,000.
Yep.
He told me I put 2.5 points for the commission. He said they're only going to do 2. I didn't even hesitate. I'm like, hey, that's fine. It's negotiable. Let's just get it done. You know, so there's nothing I can give these people. They're out of the house. I went through all the checklists. There's just nothing else, you know, except for like a huge offer. But we're not going to do that, you know, because I don't know.
Who's got some advice? Go ahead, Tracy.
I was just gonna say, so if your buyer's lender has already reached out and you're reaching out, I mean, doesn't that, I mean, is the other competing offer, how proactive is their lender? I mean, I would kind of maybe lean on that. If you have a really good lender and you've got a solid buyer, I would lean in on that. You've already given them a good offer, and that's probably a really good tactic. You can get it to closing. That's your focus. This thing is closing.
And you know that we put our weight on that too. He even told us, because you guys are really responsive. I appreciate that. And the lender we're using, like we're doing a CHFA loan and everything, and the lender went through it, told him how he does it, and really confident. You know, he's really confident in my client too. That's why I just don't understand why this guy's not like, take the deal. We accept your offer. You know, I don't want to kiss his ass, but like I want to just tell him one more thing to just put him at ease with him and his buyer. But yeah, we've been doing that too with the lender.
Amber, what do you got?
Do you know the seller's timeline at all? Just a suggestion. I was thinking you can play on their timeline or try to find that out and do something with inspections. Sometimes I like to schedule the inspections ahead of time and then just tell them and say, hey, we have inspections scheduled.
I put my closing date for the 17th of December. One of the first things he said to me, he goes, can we do a quicker closing? And I says, let me talk to the lender. I'm pretty sure we probably could. And I talked to the lender, and he's like, well, you know, you're already at a pretty quick closing. He's like, there's 4 holidays between now and then. When I did the closing, when I typed it all out, I only thought of one, Thanksgiving. But he's like, no, there's Election Day, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and Veterans Day. So you're pretty much at it right now, because let me talk to him. I put the lender on the phone with the guy. We moved the closing date to 25th of November. We brought it up like 3 weeks, and he's confident he can do it. He talked to the guy. He's like, no, I'll push CHFA. I can do it all the time, blah, 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 blah. So he's even done that. Our inspections, we're going to do with the haste, get them all done as fast as we can. That was another thing, too, we talked to the guy about. I mean, I really felt checked all the boxes. I just don't know. I need something else.
Frankie, just on the inspection piece, did you say, like Amber's suggestion, and I love when you guys do this, is, hey, matter of fact, I've already talked to our inspector. He can be out there, you know, if we're putting this deal together, he can be out there tomorrow. He can be out there Friday, right? Like those types of things.
I told him within a week. I didn't give him a specific day. I said, when you take the deal, we can be out there within a week. I
think you can clean that up. Hey, look, I know we're doing inspections, and I know that can be something the seller's worried about. I went ahead and called my inspector. Actually, he can be out there tomorrow. He typically turns the report around in 24 hours. So by Friday, you guys are going to know if we're moving forward. I don't want to hold this thing up. You know, I'm trying to do everything you can to make sure your seller's in the best position to win. Right.
Okay,
So I would clean up the 1 week piece. Nicole.
That's awesome.
Frankie, you might have already done this, but I think there's so many things that could differentiate an offer instead of trying to guess what it is. I mean, don't be afraid to just have that real conversation of, hey, I know it's down to 2 offers. My buyers really want it. Is there anything that's pushing the other offer ahead of ours that the sellers like on theirs that's not looking out and see if there's any wiggle room? I don't think that comes off as desperate. It just kind of clears the air of what it is between the two that's the deciding factor.
Yeah, I was trying to push him to do that that too. Like that's why I say I don't know what they need or want because he won't give me anything. They're out of the house. They just want to sell. The only thing he really gave me is that they want this closing done as fast as possible. And then when he was like, we push up 5 days. Well, we pushed up 3 weeks basically. Like, come on, guys. But yeah, I'll go back to him with that again today too. I think I'll do the inspection.
Frankie, I want to be clear.
Right? I haven't done this yet. We have an inspector that we use.
Yeah, Sherwood Home Inspectors, it would be, should be able to get out there pretty quick. But I want to make sure you're hearing Nicole loud and clear here. It's not about what do the sellers want at this point, right? I feel like you've done that. They just want the quicker close. Hey, just out of curiosity, what is it about the other offer, right? See if you can get them to divulge some information about the other offer, that ours isn't just the slam dunk winner.
Yeah, right? I see. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Nicole. Yeah, I see.
Why isn't ours just the slam dunk? We moved up the date. You've talked to the lender, right? But you guys are still hesitating. What is it about that other offer that you guys are in love with, or you're hesitating to just go with ours, right? And just put them on the spot and see if they'll just give you that info.
All right. I'll call as soon as I get home.
Lauren, did you have something else?
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been in like similar situations, Frankie, and you'd be surprised when the difference, right, is them looking at something as low as like $5,000 on the price, right? And if we were able to find that out, then that could be a huge deciding factor. So I think like Nicole had phrased it, what is it about that other offer that has you still contemplating? Because I want to end that contemplation and I want to make sure that ours is the one.
Got it. Definitely. As soon as I get home, I'm going to call them and find all that.
Frank, this is a great scenario to bring to the table. Hopefully everybody took away something here on some strategies. Anybody want to add anything final? Because this is really important, right? I mean, the market slowed down a little bit, but it's not 10 offers on the table where you couldn't even typically have these conversations because you couldn't even get a hold of the other person. But we might be dealing with a lot more just, hey, there's another offer, right? And so these conversations are really critical that you're good at. Martin.
Just a quick question. Did you offer that when you're doing inspections, you're not going to nickel dime? It's just going to be things over a certain price point, or you're going to be looking at certain things maybe?
I told the inspections are for our purposes only. We're not going to charge them for anything. You guys there?
Yep, we're hearing you, Lauren.
Just one final thought, I guess, then on this is if a seller's coming back to you, if they're talking to you, then your offer is right up there. Because kind of like Steve had mentioned, if there is more than one option and one really stands out, they're not going to continue these conversations with you. They're going to do with the one that makes most sense to them. So if they're communicating with you, you're close, right? Or you're right there where they want. And let's just see how we can dig, how we can ask a few more questions to make sure that we are there.
Right on.
I think the key thing that Lauren just put out there is being able to ask the right questions, Frankie. Right? We've got to be able to ask the right questions to try and get the information that we need to then go back to our buyers to say, hey, this is what it's going to take. But you got to get creative with the way you're asking the questions. So it's an art for sure. And hopefully you got a couple of things today. Obviously, there's clauses to consider. I'm assuming you've gone over all of those in our document of the different ways that you can strengthen your offer as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to check every box I can.
Awesome. Well, we'll be waiting pins and needles to find out the answer. So hopefully you come back to us tomorrow, Frankie, and you lock this one down and give some kudos to this group for some great suggestions. So crush your Wednesdays, and we will get back after it again tomorrow morning, guys. Take care.